Welcome to the Talk Sox podcast. I'm Alex, and as always, I'm here with Maddie. What's going on?
Doing well. I don't know if anybody here follows I don't even know the sport. Maybe I'm a fake fan. Uh wait,
It's
okay,
called
I need
baseball, Maddie. We're here to talk about baseball.
to okay, just a brief tangent. Uh what sport does he play? Okay, no, pole vault. Mondo Duplantis broke another world record, so shout out to him.
I'd have never known that if it wasn't for this podcast, so thank you.
So, the Red Sox are on. The score is tied at the top of the ninth. They need to win this game, man.
Have to. At the last time we recorded, about a week and a half ago, I was pretty confident in the fact that the Red Sox were making the playoffs. I think there is a very real scenario where they do not make the playoffs. Now, the last episode was right after we got confirmation that Roman Anthony was out for 4 to 6 weeks. I think we'd all kind of penciled Willie Abreu to be back by now, and he's not. It's just and we'll talk about the offense here in a second, but the offense has gone ice cold, and the bullpen outside of Garrett Whitlock and Aroldis Chapman, who has not had a good run, but it hasn't been terrible, has been awful. Greg Weissert needs to not be on the playoff roster should the team make the playoffs. Yeah, you can't trust him.
Wait. I mean, I know a lot of people pointed, they were looking for a scapegoat after yesterday's game. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if the offense scored more than one run, it wouldn't have been a big deal.
Absolutely.
And I think has been good this year. I'm a fan of him. I like him.
The numbers are incredibly deceiving because if you look at his ERA is fine. It's when he comes on with men on that he allows to score. That is his biggest problem. The Section 10 guys are real plugged in, and Carrabis specifically talks about how he's been told by multiple people that when Weissert is tired and he's overworked, he doesn't lose velocity. Because if you watch, he's still throwing 98, 99. He loses his command, and everything just sits over the middle of the plate. And if you go back and look at his pitch charts from the past few outings, that's exactly what it's been. He's just missing middle with everything. And it's getting hit because it's going to, because it's the MLB.
Yeah, they dropped down to the third wild card spot, which is really, really, really worrying.
Yeah, they do hold the tiebreaker with the Astros and the Guardians.
And Yankees too.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that'll even come into play now. Mm-hmm. The team that worries me the most is the Rangers, because the Rangers hold the tiebreaker over the Red Sox. Should it come down to same record at the end of the season?
Thing is with the Rangers, I don't see them getting that far.
I don't either, but that's the one team that could kind of mess things up at this point. That's not the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, Seager had an appendectomy. Those things are tough. I hope his recovery goes well. And Eovaldi's out. I don't think Jacob deGrom. I mean, as good as he is,
he looks like vintage. He looks like vintage deGrom. Jack Leiter looks really good.
Yeah,
I wanted Jack Leiter so bad.
Another Nepo baby. He might fit in with the Blue Jays. We'll talk about that when we record that week. I saw the Rangers posted something in spring training about deGrom with the long hair, and I was brought back to my teenage years when he was on the Mets.
Yeah.
Like,
what an incredible starting rotation the New York Mets had back then.
Oh my God.
Matt Harvey, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard. Yeah, like
And Zach Wheeler, he was their number
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
And that was before he, like, really locked in.
Mhm. Just an absolute embarrassment of riches for the Mets that I mean, they made a couple World Series, but they didn't win anything.
Oh. Oh, yeah, they played the Royals that one year.
Yeah.
I forgot
And
about that. Huh.
that's the World Series that ruined Matt Harvey because I don't remember who was managing the Mets at the time. Like a vaunted manager, like guy who's been around a time or two. Harvey got into trouble and um, had the ball taken out of his hand effectively when he was arguing to stay in, and he got sent into the dugout, and he was quite literally never the same pitcher again.
Uh, that happened. I remember also seeing in the Daily Mail at the time all the, him, like, appearing in the gossip section because he was dating some girl. So,
Yeah,
maybe that had an
yeah.
effect on him too, losing a baddie. Well, speaking of no, I think that was, Giolito, his performance went down when he was going through his divorce, and now it's,
Significantly, yeah.
and now, he has a long-term girlfriend, they seem very happy, and he's locked in.
Well, and even like in like a much, and we've talked about this on here before, but if you watch the Clubhouse on Netflix, if you look at the kind of arc that revolves around Brian Bayo, the you can really attribute to his struggles last year to the fact that his wife and child were not allowed to come to the United States. Well, his infant child was, his infant daughter was. Her visa was granted, but his wife's was not, which is just wild to me. And so I vividly remember the scene. They're at Fenway. He and Cora are sitting kind of on the wall out in left, like lower left field, and um, Cora's like, "Is it because you miss him?" And Brian just has to walk away because he gets so emotional. And like as a dad, like I couldn't imagine spending 8 months separated from my family. It's hard enough. Like I'm sure being on the road, for half the season, but knowing that they're in a different country and they're like when you go home, they're not there. Like I just
Mhm.
those kind of things, it really messes with people. And you think that it wouldn't because they're professional athletes and they're serious about the game and everything, but that stuff from your personal life can creep in. It happens to all of us in our everyday jobs too. Like my daughter's been sick the last couple of days, and I find myself, in my classroom, like wondering how she is. And, it just kind of takes my mind off of it occasionally. And you, you put that in $1 million, multi-million dollar contract, and, have cameras in front of your face, and you're expected to, strike people out for all day. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna build up and it's gonna come out in some way, and hopefully it's positive, but more often than not it seems like it's pretty negative.
The Athletic, published an article about, players juggling, their work-life balance during the season, I think in the spring, and, some players admitted they miss their kids' graduations
Hmm.
because of the season. That's just
Yeah.
sad to think about,
Yeah, I
and
mean, if
I
you think
you
about it, like the season starts in late March, early April. You've got
and
kids graduating in May, May and June.
and it runs into, October, November,
Mhm.
early November for, teams that make the World Series.
Yeah, it's a slog. It is the longest season in sports. Um, I can't even pretend to know what that's like, and I'm glad that I don't have to. But it's just it's absolutely crazy, just some of what these guys go through, and just how that kind of stuff can impact them. One thing that you always expect will be, maybe a moment too big. And we got to talk about this when Payton Tolle made his debut. Connelly Early looks like he has arrived on the scene. Even his start yesterday was not nearly as good as, and I hesitate to say not nearly as good, but it wasn't as incredible as his season, as his major league debut. And if it wasn't for some lackluster, listless offense, and Greg Weissert giving up 2 runs, Early probably gets the win yesterday.
Anytime I write something positive about a player, they always do a 180 and then their performance takes a dive. With Connelly Early, it's just I think we were expecting Tolle to be performing like Early is.
Correct, yeah. Tolle is in the bullpen now. But Early, I think the difference, Early has really good secondary pitches that seem MLB ready, whereas Tolle does not. Tolle has a fastball, and he'll work in his secondary stuff, but you can kind of spit on anything else that's not a fastball. Early, you can't take a pitch off. He pitch mixes really well, and his secondaries play, and they play really, really well.
His stuff is nasty. I know his velocity was, that was a question coming up. It's still, his fastball is coming in at like 93.7 miles per hour.
Yeah, he's not a flamethrower.
But his secondaries are so good. He doesn't need to get by on his fastball. And with Tolle, he has a full season in the team's pitching lab, or full off season in the team's pitching lab. I'm sure he'll come up with, new pitches for next year.
I think so, and he'll hone. His cutter looks like it. It grades out as a potential plus pitch. I think he's going to have to pick between a sweeper and a slider. I don't think both is the answer there. But Early, his energy is just like he's on crack. Like
no, he's like crack. Celsius. In between innings, like just seeing him like run around the dugout, like stretching, and
he was like slapping the back of his neck,
like doing leg kicks. Like, okay, pop off.
But I love that energy, and I'm very curious. So, if Dustin May stays on the IL, then Early can be added to the postseason roster, I believe. If May comes off the IL, the Red Sox will have to appeal to have Early be able to be added to the postseason roster because he was called up after September 1st. So I'm very curious how they'll handle that. I assume that at least through the wild card and probably the DS, should the Red Sox make it, the Early will come out of the bullpen.
I could see that. How many left? No, Bernie's on the IL.
Bernie's on the IL.
Yeah, so
Wilson, Matt. Is that it now? Chapman.
Yeah, I'm glad Tolle was sent to the bullpen because I don't think you should have 3 lefties in your rotation.
Yeah, and that fastball will play up so much over an inning and a half, where he could just go out in short burst and then he can stretch back out over the offseason.
Totally. But yeah, I know people were saying the team should extend Tolle. He still has some kinks to work out.
It was a knee-jerk reaction from a lot of people, I think. Striking out 2 in your first MLB appearance in your first inning.
Versus the Pirates.
Yeah. And and we talked about this in the Slack channel, that the Diamondbacks had sent scouts to Worcester for quite a while to scout to scout Tolle. And so that was kind of like, oh, well, that's why they got to him. And then his next start, it was the same thing. And that was against the A's, who probably sent no scouts to Worcester to scout him. So I'm with you. I think that moving Tolle to the bullpen is a good thing. I think, if the Red Sox have to use a 4th starter come the playoffs, though, I think Connelly Early is probably that guy. It's been 2 starts, but I trust him more than Dustin May.
Yeah. I trust somebody at my local Little League game over Destin May.
Yeah. I don't know. I've seen some of these kids at Little League. They've got some curveballs now, which is probably why kids are having Tommy John in high school.
Year-round baseball too, you gotta diversify, your sports.
And we kind of touched on this, right at the top, but really the problem with the Red Sox and the reason why they've slid to the third wild card spot is because the offense is just not producing. I've pulled some numbers up. With runners in scoring position, the Red Sox are hitting 250 on the year. Over the last 7 games, though, Nesson ran it earlier. I think it was below the Mendoza line. It was like 191, 189, something like that, with runners in scoring position. Well, on Tuesday, they had the bases loaded in the bottom of the second with no outs and still produced no runs. There's been men on third tonight, and this game should be over. We shouldn't be in the bottom of the ninth right now.
It shouldn't be going into extra innings now.
Yeah, and part of it is like you've lost Roman, you don't have Willier, like you've lost quite a bit of pop, to the point that Masataka Yoshida is playing DH pretty much every game.
And batting in the fourth hole.
Yeah, and Bregman still has not come out of this slump. I mean, he's put some good swings on stuff, and it's had some good velocity, but it's always right at somebody. Story has been good. Duran has been better. But for the most part, I mean, you're counting on Rob Refsnyder and Masataka Yoshida to drive runners in, and that's not who they've ever been. And that's who Masa was in Japan, but that's not who Masa is here. It just everything fell apart at the exact wrong time for the Red Sox. Had the Anthony injury happened 2 weeks earlier, where we're looking at him coming back during this, Rays series, you would probably feel better about it. But there's just nobody in the offense outside of Story and Romy Gonzalez that you feel can contribute in a meaningful way right now. Brandon brought it up in the Slack earlier today, but Nate Eaton leads the team in almost every offensive category for the month of September.
I'm conflicted on Nate Eaton.
Yeah.
Whenever I see his name in the lineup, I groan, but then, I see him on video and I'm like, okay, I mean, like, I'm not making any objections. And he has a 133 WRC plus since Roman went down. So
Yeah.
Guys have to step up, and if Nate Eaton can do it, it's welcome. And literally anybody, just needs to lock in. Like Cedar Rafaela's WRC plus is negative 34.
Cora had talked about that he had trouble like maintaining weight last year, and that's what they attributed that slump to. So there's people wondering if that's happening again. But I mean, since the All-Star break, it was, both he and Narvaez, we all said were snubbed going into the All-Star break. And now we kind of see why maybe they weren't selected.
Yeah. Yeah, once you take off the rose-colored glasses or take the red pill, I guess.
Yeah.
Stuff comes to light.
And I don't want it to seem like I don't believe in either of those players. Cedar Rafaela should be the center fielder for the future for the Red Sox. I think he'll be in platinum glove conversations this year and will win it at some point during this contract. And I would like to see Carlos Narvaez extended, but it's been a rough second half of the season.
Yeah, and I mean the past couple of seasons they've really fallen off a cliff come mid-August, September. And It's a
We've
young
gotten
team.
further into this season this year than we have in the past
Yeah.
since 21.
And they do have a young team, so but you can't keep saying that. I mean, this is our 2nd year in a row now, and,
Yeah.
I mean, next year, if this happens too, there needs to be some type of change, and also, I mean, should a team's offense really be dependent on a 21-year-old?
Yeah. I mean, no, it shouldn't, but that's the way that this team was constructed. Um, and not intentionally.
Mhm.
Obviously, if it was intentionally, Roman would have broke camp with the Red Sox, um, and been up here all season. But when you're looking at a 21-year-old to be essentially the savior of your season, and then he is,
Yeah.
and nobody thought that he would be. Like, I mean, we all thought he would be, but like it was all just like kind of like hopes and dreams. Um, and then he showed up, and he didn't light the world on fire when he got the call up, but not long after that, he figured out MLB pitching and adjusted when they adjusted to him, and became one of the best hitters in baseball. And I mean, just look at the team now since he's been hurt. Like, they've won 2 games. We're in extra innings against the A's, a team that we hung without him, a team that we hung 14 on a week ago today. Like, I just and this team is built to play at Fenway. That's the other thing. And we're playing at Fenway, and the bullpen lets run score yesterday, and today it's Giolito was fine. Um, but once again, the bullpen let the A's right back in the game, and the A's are not a bad team. I don't want it to come across like I think the A's are a bad team. They're very young, just like we are, um, but they're not. They're not a playoff team. We shouldn't be in this situation the past 2 days.
I will say the A's, I think, have a better no, they're better than their record indicates. They're in
Hmm.
a tough division, and they have a good hitting core, but it's their pitching that's been
Yes,
really neglected.
which you would
You could
think
say
the Red Sox would tee off on at home.
yeah, you could say the same about the Diamondbacks.
Hmm.
I mean, going back to the, scouting, Payton Tolle, heavily before the trade deadline, you always wonder, what was there an offer on the table for Zach Gallen, who has really turned things around in the second half of the
Wasn't
season?
it? It came out that they wanted Connelly Early for Merrill Kelly, and the Red Sox said no.
Hmm. I haven't been following Kelly, but
He's
he's always
he's
been
turned it.
consistent.
He's turned it around.
Okay.
Yeah, he's had a
Oh.
good second half of the season.
Mhm. Oh. I'm seeing, early pitch now with the Red Sox. I mean, I'm happy they kept him. I
Agreed. And that was kind of the thing going into that first start, was like, man, like, this was the guy that the Diamondbacks asked for, and they were told absolutely not. So he's got to be Nails. And if he's not Nails, like, that's going to be the whole story. And then he came out and he struck out 11.
yeah. Going back to the offense, since Roman went down, they ranked 19th, according to Fangraphs, in offense.
Yeah.
And that's the lowest ranked team or playoff team in the league. Well, no, the Mets are lower than them, but I think the Mets might get knocked out sometime
I say I don't
soon.
think the Mets are going to make the playoffs.
Uh, yeah, well, last year they literally got in at like the last minute,
They made
but
it to the CS. Yeah.
this year's different though. I mean,
I
it
went
shouldn't
home
be.
sick. I went home sick the day game that like clinched, because the DS was played in a day game. The
Yeah.
NLDS was played in a day game last year. I ended up going home sick, and I got to watch the whole game. Uh, and it was absolutely, because one of my good friends is a diehard Mets fan. It was so wild to like be texting him while that was going on, because they were playing the Braves, And like you assume that the Braves are just going to steamroll their way to the NLCS and meet up with whoever, and then for the Mets just to do what they did last year was just incredible. And so it proves, and the Diamondbacks that got to the World Series a couple of seasons ago, it proves that if you can get in, you've got a chance. But your offense also has to score runs.
Oh my god. Yeah. Top of the 10th. 2 outs. But yeah. Runners on first and third.
With Kurtz up.
Ugh.
He's so good.
Yep. Just hearing Dave O'Brien say, well, mispronounce Lancaster on the broadcast was really heartwarming. Good, he struck out. Word.
You're about 5 seconds ahead of me.
There's the I'm tracking the game on my screen.
My MLB TV, it's so funny. Like I'll be watching the game like on like my Roku in my living room, and then I'll go into the kitchen and start cooking, and I'll pull it up on my phone, and my phone is a good like 45 seconds ahead of wherever my Roku is. They keep showing Jesus in the crowd.
Oh no!
Tonight was also Section 10 night at the ballpark. So if we have any listeners that have an extra jersey that they got, I have last year's that I didn't go, but I bought it off eBay. So if any listeners went tonight and have an extra jersey that they would like to donate to the Talk Sox podcast, once I get moved next week, it will be in a frame behind me. So you can say that you sent that. So just put that out there. If not, I'll buy another one off eBay for $100.
$100 for the
It's nuts. The price, like, so the Cardinals have a ton of giveaways, and was it you or Adam who wrote about
Adam
the giveaways? Yeah. The Cardinals have like 3 giveaways a week. They have a ton, and it's because they're so bad that they can't get people into the stadium. So the last Cardinal game I went to was the Padres series, and on that night it was not only Ozzie Smith backflip bobblehead, it was also Harry Potter jersey night. And the amount of people, yes, and the amount of people who bought tickets just to get those things and then left the stadium that I talked to, like as I was walking around there, like I bought cheap tickets. I bought $30 tickets. I got my bobblehead, I got my jersey, and now I'm leaving. And then Facebook Marketplace for the next week was just loaded with nothing but Ozzie Smith flip bobbleheads and Harry Potter jerseys.
Hold up. So if you just bought a ticket to the game, you got both the Harry Potter jersey and the Ozzie Smith backflip bobblehead.
The Harry Potter jersey was a premium ticket add-on for like $15.
Okay. Okay, so
which we did because my wife and I like grew up with Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling aside, like it's a big part of our childhood.
Well, you are a millennial, right?
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
Okay, that does check out.
That sounded very judgy, Maddie.
No, I like Harry Potter too. No, it transcends the generation. What's your house?
So on Pottermore, because if we're getting into this, we're getting real into this. Those of you who are listening who know me, it will come as no surprise that I have been a Slytherin since the day I was born. My wife is very much a Ravenclaw. And we ended up with 2 Ravenclaw jerseys.
So could you choose your jersey?
No. They were in giant boxes by size. And the people that were working the like section that you had to go to, they were just like mixing them up and grabbing one, because my wife, she wanted Ravenclaw, and you could like see it in her size just sitting on the top of the box. And we walked up and she was like, dude, like the jersey I want's right there. And he was like, oh, I can't give you what you want, and purposefully did not pick that one. And he gave her a Gryffindor.
Come on.
And so I got a Ravenclaw jersey, and I am considerably larger than my wife. And so I have my like XL Ravenclaw jersey. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I wanted a Slytherin one, but whatever. Like they look cool. And as we're walking away, this probably like 15-year-old kid runs up to my wife and is like, hey, like, you have what size is yours? My wife's like, oh, I got this. And she was like, oh, okay. Like I'm looking for a Gryffindor jersey. And my wife was like, I don't care what size yours is. I want a Ravenclaw jersey. I'll just trade you. And the girl was like, oh, I don't know. And my wife's awesome. And she was like, I'm not going to pressure you. Like, if you want to keep the one that you got, like, I totally respect that. Like, have fun at the game. And we walked away, and like 10 seconds later, the kid runs up and she's like, no, I really want your Gryffindor jersey, and swap my wife for a Ravenclaw jersey. So yeah, I wish I could have got a Slytherin one, but we've got 2 Ravenclaws. Mine, I'll probably throw in a frame and hang up on the wall once we get moved and everything. And I don't know what we'll do with hers. She'll probably wear hers occasionally. Monday, because it's homecoming week at my school, Monday was Jersey Day. So I wore my Fenway Green crochet jersey.
Nice.
Got lots of trash talk. It was great.
Well, okay. No, there was the 2013 World in 2007. Yeah. Right? No, that was the Rockies. No shit.
04 was the Cardinals and 13 was the Cardinals.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. I got
04 was at Bush. 13 was at Fenway.
Yes. Because I remember in 07 I got in a fight with somebody on the bus who was a Rockies fan.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that so much.
It was just like, who even is a Rockies fan? Well,
especially now.
To be fair, when I went to a Rockies game back in April, there were a lot of fans there on a Tuesday night. Oh shoot! Yes,
they just walked it off. Been walked off, but Mark Kotze is actively talking to the umpires.
Oh, come on.
Okay, nope, he's walking to the dugout. Walking to the dugout. Okay.
And the Red Sox just tweeted. Okay.
Yep. Game is over for those of you who weren't watching and are now listening. Come Thursday morning.
Series on the line tomorrow against the A's.
That's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Their broadcast team is also like, you have that like dude who looks like
Dallas Braden. I love Dallas Braden so much.
He looks like he could be in like Greenpoint, Brooklyn, right? And then you have Jenny Cavnar, who speaks only in girly pop.
The dynamic between those two is so funny.
I love it.
On Labor Day, the Cardinals were playing the A's, and my really good friend who teaches right down the hall from me, who will never listen to this podcast because he's a diehard Cardinal fan. He's like, oh, the A's are coming on Labor Day. Would you want to go? And I was like, absolutely. And so I ordered a custom Dallas Braden Oakland A's jersey to wear to the game. And because I love the Wild Man. I've loved Dallas since he was in the league. Like, he is just crazy. And I think it's incredible. And so like I kept like, I had like friends watching the Oakland broadcast to see if they ever showed me. So anytime like anything, there was a foul ball hit like 10 seats down from me, I like made sure like I turned so that way like they could see like the back of my jersey said Braden on it, in hopes that I would be able to meet him, and I did not. But but I did get to see Jay Willie hit a home run. That was pretty cool. Kurtz and Rooker did not play that game. It was very weird.
Huh. And those are like, well, no, I like Lawrence Butler. I
do too. I like Lawrence Butler a lot.
Good fielder. Also really speedy on the base pass too. But
he is the only other person that I think will give Rafaela a run for a platinum glove anytime soon.
And also just we've been playing the Rays, like not the Rays, the A's a lot back-to-back weeks. A lot of their players have like 20 plus home runs. I mean, I know they play in a not Little League, AAA stadium for half the season.
It might as well be a Little League stadium. I mean, when Rob Refsnyder is hitting 465-foot tanks.
Yeah, out of the park.
It hit the locker room.
Oh yeah, because when Romy was walked off the field, then he had to walk back onto the outfield. It
So
was so
stupid.
awkward.
So stupid. And that's
But
why
okay.
who is it? Is it Severino that's out there that absolutely hates his life now that he's signed on there
Yeah.
because there's no clubhouse attached to the dugout?
Yeah. Mm, yeah. But he knew what he
Well, that
was
was a
getting
good walk
into.
on too. He had to, but they also had to offer him more money than anybody else so they could keep their TV rights deal.
Yeah. Yeah. That was funny when that broke out. Wasn't
I
the
really
expanded record?
thought, I really thought that a trade with the A's for Masataka made so much sense because they had to spend a certain threshold of money to keep that TV rights deal. That if they
Mhm.
took on, I think it was half or 2/3 of his salary, it would have gotten them there. And I think at the time, you probably could have gotten Tyler Soderstrom and another piece for Masataka Yoshida, and maybe you still can. The A's are dumb. They traded Mason Miller for a bucket of baseballs.
Didn't they get Solace in that trade?
They got DeVries, who is,
DeVries,
I mean,
okay.
I mean,
He's also
he's the Padres' number one ranked prospect, but he's also in he's in high A.
so yeah.
And realistically,
Yeah.
will he ever break camp with the A's? Probably not. They'll probably trade him in the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong there. Hmm.
And who
So
should come calling when that offseason trade is made is, in my opinion, Alex Cora.
okay. So yeah, let's talk about that. You wrote that piece about three potential GM candidates that,
Mm-hmm.
ruffled some feathers, if you
It
will.
So I'll tell you where it came from. Um, Paul Taboni um, has interest from the Nationals for their GM position,
Mhm.
and it just lo and behold, 2 weeks later after that breaks, the Red Sox are looking to add a GM come this offseason. So I think that Paul Taboni makes the most sense to slide up from assistant GM to GM so they can keep him in the system. He's 35. He and I are the same age, uh, and he's been with the organization for 10 years. Um, I think he was the scouting director before he became the assistant GM. So he's got an eye for talent. He's lasted through the Dombrowski era, the Heimblum era, and now he's in the Breslow era. And he has maintained a pretty prominent position in each of the last three GMs or Pobos or whatever you want to call them. And so I think the Red Sox, realistically, to keep him internal, will probably just promote him from assistant GM to GM. But my other two names on that were Raquel Ferreira. I think that she's phenomenal. I
Mhm.
think that she would be an absolutely incredible general manager. I do worry that there is I hesitate to say significant portion of the fan base, but there is a vocal portion of the fan base who will have a problem with that. Um, Not
Uh,
only is Raquel a woman, Raquel is a minority woman.
yeah.
And
Well,
as we've kind of seen in some of the comments on the page, that seems to be an issue for some people. And, and I think Raquel would be great. I would love to see her, but I also think that's why Kim Ing had no desire to interview for the Pobo position because she was offered an interview
mhm.
and she turned it down.
The thing with Kim though is that I would have don't quote me on this. From what I've gathered, she was more of she technically had the title of GM, right? But it
Mhm.
seemed more like business development. Like she was doing more business development
Yes.
stuff
Yeah.
versus actually setting the roster and,
Right.
like what Craig is doing, what Theo did, Dave Dombrowski, etc.
Right. My other name, and we can go back and talk about these, but my other name on the list is one Alex Cora. Cora has made no secret that he does not want to manage for the rest of his life. He does not want to be the old guy in the dugout. He has said those exact words. He has made multiple comments expressing his interest in getting into a front office somewhere. There were questions on whether or not Breslow and him were on the same page, very much in like the Heim Cora discussion. And then, it came out that Cora gave his approval for the Rafael Devers trade. And then Cora was in the front office on trade deadline because the Red Sox were off that day. On the trade deadline, that Cora was in the front office as deals were being made. You don't get that with most managers. And so I think those things kind of point to the fact that Cora is probably on the short list to become the next GM of the Boston Red Sox. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Cora is a much better communicator than Craig Breslow, and I think that that's what this team needs. I like Craig. I thought that Craig was a good hire, but Craig sometimes sounds like a robot. And I can only imagine that dealing with him as another GM or Pobo is probably not the most fun thing in the world. And so if you get somebody like an Alex Cora in there who, like Craig, has played professional baseball, but Cora is very much a player's guy and kind of speaks the language. And so I think that if he's calling other GMs who, let's face it, baseball is going to that, front offices are stocked with a ton of retired players now. I think that
Look at
that'll
Matt
make
Kemp with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, Skip Schumacher works for the Rangers now.
Mm-hmm.
I think realistically, if you're Alex Cora, that's a really easy position to slide into, but it then creates a pretty big vacuum at the manager role.
I also worry with Cora and Breslow. Again, that would be two egos clashing, which you really don't want in a front office. I mean, we saw that with
Absolutely.
Theo and Larry, way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think tensions could really broil over there. But that being said, Cora has Riz.
I almost put that in I may have put that in the article. I have to look now.
I think you said aura. He has aura too. But yeah,
I said aura. Yes, as the kids say. Yes.
Whenever Craig is a very, very, very smart guy. I saw he majored in the
It
name
was
is
something impressive.
something impressive, but he chose something in like the biomedical engineering realm because his younger sister had a thyroid cancer as a teenager. So that really that resonated with me. And just I mean, he comes across as all robotic, if you will, in interviews, but good for him with that. And also, whenever he speaks, it just seems like he's trying to list every single SAT vocab word.
Yeah.
And
I will say that it really looks like he's probably going on Section 10 at some point over the offseason. And I think that will, because him and Carabas have developed a pretty good relationship. And I think that will do a lot to kind of put him over. I'm a wrestling guy, so sometimes I go into like pro wrestling terms. But I think that'll really like put him over with the fan base. Because love him or hate him, and we've had this conversation on here, like Section 10 is pretty influential. I mean, like I said, tonight was Section 10 night at Fenway Park. Like regardless
how
of your
many other
opinion
teams?
of Carabas and the guys, like they're plugged in with the team.
Yeah, and how many other teams like host special podcast night?
Yeah, where's
Nights
the Talk Sox night at Fenway?
Where's Oh, I think we still got to get merch before.
But I'm very curious to see where this GM search goes. And it very likely could be somebody from out of the organization, people that we haven't even really considered yet. But there was the reports that getting people to apply for the Pobo position was tough. Now that things have turned around, will it be easier to get people to apply for a GM position with a manager who's locked in for the next few seasons, but also a manager who's made it clear that he wants to be in the front office at some point? So you almost feel like maybe he's gunning for your job kind of deal.
That's awkward.
Or are we seeing Craig hire somebody that will eventually, he knows, replace him?
It opens up a whole can of worms.
It really does.
Like, yeah, with the Cora route, then yeah, you're left with who's going to be the next manager of the team. And I'd love Skip Schumacher personally. I think the team would
That's
do
who I
really
wanted
well.
Heim to hire before he was effectively told to hire Cora.
Yeah, when did the Marlins make the post? Was that 2022? Like, he was managing the team then.
Yeah.
And
the thing that I'm not sure about with Skip, one, I always assumed he would go back to St. Louis. But it looks like Yadier Molina is the likely next manager of that team. I have no interest in Ollie Marmol as the Red Sox manager at all. I would rather hire Aaron Boone to be the manager of the Red Sox over Ollie Marmol. But Skip is now in the front office of the Texas Rangers. And so I wonder if he will leave a front office position to go manage a team.
And then there's a whole other element that if a team wants to just interview somebody who works in another front office, they have to ask the other team for permission.
Yep.
And I don't know. What if they say no?
Yeah, and I mean that happens fairly frequently. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. I say that I think it is Paul Taboni. I think that that's almost a foregone conclusion if they want to keep him in Boston. But if he wants to make ultimate decisions, then he will turn the Boston job down and accept the Washington Nationals position, where he will have essentially full authority over the roster. Whereas here, he would be mostly brokering trades and deals.
He's also young too, like you said.
So, he's only 35. Raquel is actually the oldest of the three that I talked about.
Well, there are other things that disqualify Raquel from taking or just getting the job. I don't agree with that.
Not to say no, we don't.
I think
yeah, no. I think that I can speak for you in saying that should Raquel get the GM job, the Talk Talks podcast would be ecstatic for her.
100%.
She is such a cool person, and just kind of even I knew a little bit about her, just kind of being in the Red Sox world and everything, but researching more about her to write kind of a rundown of who she is for that. I was just like, man, she does a ton of stuff that I didn't realize, and she's involved in so many MLB wide programs that aren't just Red Sox specific, and she is such a cool person. And just even from the clubhouse, she seems like a very down to earth person. And you would think that somebody who has had their hands deep into 4 Red Sox World Series champions, they could be a little arrogant and it would be fine. And she's not.
She has Riz.
Yes, she does. Just like Cora. Maybe it's her and Cora.
Well, there was that scene where they were getting dinner at their hotel before the start of the season, and then she jokes with Bayo, you have to front this, $4,000 bill. I was laughing so hard watching that.
That was so good.
And Craig really doesn't have that type of charisma, and
no, he doesn't.
Yeah, So that would be really helpful for, negotiating trades, brokering deals, whatnot.
Mhm. So, that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on. And they're not expected to do anything until the off season, which
Mhm.
makes perfect sense. So I figure that we'll spend some more time looking at some candidates come, the end of October, beginning of November. You would think that they would want to have that person in place by the winter meetings in December.
Yeah, because then at the winter meetings you start hiring, or around that time you're looking at, people below, the directors, whatnot. So get all that
And
settled
that's,
out.
I mean, that's when you're starting. I mean, that's when the Crochet deal happened. That's likely when Joe Ryan will get traded this offseason. That was years ago, but that was when Albert Pujols picked the Angels over the Cardinals, was at the winter meetings.
Garrett Cole for the Yankees came out.
Xander Bogaerts.
Sa-
That's when kind of all the big dominoes fall in the MLB. But that's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on, and we will see, exactly who gets named to that as we hit the off season. I guess one thing that's kind of come out since we started recording, Vaughn Grissom has left Worcester, even though that season is not over yet, and he's on the IL with plantar fasciitis.
oh,
He was not going to play anymore this season, but he is officially not with the club in Worcester. And I'm going to have to let my dogs out here in just a second. So I'll let this kind of marinate with you for a minute, Maddie. Chad Tracy said, despite the amount of times that other guys were called up, his name wasn't, and it was nice to work with him. So I think that is closing the book on Vaughn Grissom and thus the Chris Sale trade. So as I let my dogs out, I'll let you kind of wax poetic on that for a minute or so, and then I'll be right back.
So I have to filibuster now for a little bit. Vaughn Grissom, you know, it would have made sense for the organization to call him up, when, Marcelo went down, or, yeah, well, Marcelo was, the big domino for the infield. And I mean, I'm just looking at his stats on MILB.com. They're not that bad. 270 average, 13 home runs, 48 RBIs. It's sad to see that he never really had, well, no, he was given opportunities with the major league club, but just, I mean, knowing you traded away Chris Sale for him when the team probably could have gotten more for him is disappointing. And I mean, that's not to say Chris Sale wouldn't have had such a good season as he did in 2024 with the Braves that he did with the Red Sox. So, I mean, hindsight is always 2020, and with all the lefties in, the rotation now, I don't think Sale would have been the best fit this year with the team.
I think you do that Chris Sale deal 10 times out of 10, even now knowing that Vaughn Grissom is no longer going to be part of the Red Sox. Chris Sale seemed to be snake bitten when he was here. And I don't think that we would have gotten the Cy Young caliber season that the Braves got last year. And look at him this year. Freak injuries. It hit the IL, and the Braves are desperate for pitching.
Yeah.
And so, and I know that I've said that, here on the site before, and the comments will be like, well, why do you think that? It's like, Chris Sale seemed to be cursed in Boston, and sometimes that's just how it goes. I had high hopes for Vaughn Grissom. I thought at the time that it was a pretty good trade. It does, and you'll have to bear with me for a minute, but that trade to me is a black mark on Chaim Bloom's GM, because it has come out that Bloom had an offer on the table from the Texas Rangers to assume all of Chris Sale's contract the year before, and he turned it down. And so, if you're Bloom, you got to make that deal. And so Breslow got to make that deal. And it wasn't the same deal. I don't know what the return was. I don't know if that's ever come out. But Chaim Bloom should have traded Chris Sale. It's that simple. Chris Sale should have not been on the roster when Craig Breslow took over the team. Vaughn Grissom should have been a high floor, high ceiling type player, who just frankly got outplayed by multiple people across the organization. And that's really no fault of his own. He didn't ask to get traded to an organization that drafted Marcelo Meyer and Christian Campbell, and Roman Anthony. And, you've got Tristan Casas on the roster, and you've got David Hamilton. And I don't want to say that David Hamilton is some like all-star world beater, but Hamilton offers you a couple of things that Grissom doesn't, and that's solid second base defense and a guy who can steal bases. Grissom never found that power at the major league level, and I hate it for him. But at the trade deadline, he said that he was working on things to improve his swing, and when he was asked what they were, he said he wasn't going to tell them because he was going to be playing the Woo Sox very soon. And then he wasn't traded.
Poor guy. Just watch
It's almost impressive how hard he was trying to force his way off of the team at the trade deadline to still be here.
Yeah, just watch. I'm trying to think of a small market team, the A's or the Rays. Pick him up in the offseason, then he turns into a beast.
Is he? Year. I want to see. I want to see what his contract looks like. Because I was under the impression that he's under contract through next season, but maybe he's not.
Well, we've talked about this before. Maybe throw him in as a little bonus piece, in offloading Masataka Yoshida's contract, or I know this will also not incite, just rub people the wrong way. Throw him in a Abreu or Duran trade in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think. It's obvious he's not going to be part of this organization next year. Be that he's not tendered a contract or he's traded, because he still technically has an option left. He has just barely over a year of MLB service time. He's one of the. He was a high pick. He was a highly touted prospect, and that's kind of the thing about baseball is, if you look at the NFL and the NBA and even the NHL, your high picks are going to make an impact that season. In baseball, you don't get that. You don't get a Payton Tolle who's coming up the year he was drafted, the year after he was drafted. That just doesn't happen anymore. Or it doesn't happen in baseball. And Grissom had a ton of potential and just could never unlock it. Through injury, he got sick at the beginning of the season last year and could never gain weight, and lost 20 pounds and could never put muscle back on. And it just felt like it was like shot after shot after shot for him. And like I said, I would still trade Chris Sale away 10 times out of 10. Do I wish that they would have gotten somebody different? Sure. But if that's the one black eye that Craig Breslow has on his trades list so far, I don't think that's a bad thing. You can't win every trade.
Yeah, and you can also, hold that notion because things don't work out, but life goes on, and
there was no space for him here. That was the other thing.
And it felt like he needed a change of scenery. Chris Sale.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I
now,
think I wrote in March that Vaughn Grissom needed a change of scenery. Like, he was with the organization for a year and couldn't carve a name for himself. So we wish Vaughn Grissom the best in whatever he does, whether he plays professional baseball or becomes a real estate agent, which is what minor leaguers who flame out tend to seem to become lately, is they turn and sell houses.
Huh. Or, I mean, I still was thinking baseball, the Nippon League or KBO.
Dahlbeck got offered a contract and ended up signing with the Royals minor league program, and I think he's already out of that as well.
Poor guy. With Bobby,
I like Bob.
just whenever you'd hear him speak, like in interviews, like he'd just be like pretty like a mellotone about baseball, or like no, am I saying no? Just like no, what's the word I'm looking for?
Monotone.
Monotonous or monotone or monotonous with baseball, but then his eyes would light up when he'd speak about music and playing the guitar. So
he's
that
a
could be
cool
an
guy.
option for him.
He's Bronson Arroyo, just without the championship hardware. Are you working on anything for the site right now, Maddie?
Yeah, but it'll probably come out towards the end of the season.
Okay.
I'm looking up uh players who are assigned to deals with like New Balance, Nike, Adidas, and then calculating each, brand's total WAR and comparing those.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping New Balance is the highest ranked WAR, but
I
we'll
mean,
see.
they've got Shohei, so they've got a
Nike,
firm grasp on it.
Nike still has some dudes, Mike Trout. So
They've
we'll
got.
see.
Are you counting Jordan in on the Nike brand?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm throwing that. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
Nike, Jordan. Those are
Yeah.
like. Are you
Sister
working on anything?
companies. I am writing about how Nate Eaton has led the team in almost all offensive categories this season or this month. I'll probably get that done after work tomorrow. So that's
Looking
just
forward to
mind
that.
blowing. Yeah, me too. I just love talking about Nate Eaton. But yeah, we'll be back at some point next week. I'm moving in the early part of next week. My internet is being installed next Wednesday, so I will be able to record at some point towards the end of next week. So we'll be back some point next week here on the Talk Sox podcast. And thank you all for listening. We'll catch you then.
Take care.